Peace. Today's mathematics is knowledge God, which is a number 1 and 7. And today I wanted to elaborate a little further on what that means in part. Um, Typically, when people think about knowledge of God, they may think about a level of awareness of a being of supreme force and power, which is an important part of having awareness or being able to grasp what that supreme force and power or what God actually is. But another important part of that is being able to grasp or to be aware of creation, because there's a relationship between creator and creation. In other words, our connectedness to nature and our ultimately understanding of nature plays a key role in our knowledge of what God actually is. When you take just a cursory glance of various different civilizations and you look at their sustainability or their longevity, how long they've actually been here, the way that they interacted with their citizenry and their relationship to nature, you get a good example of how they define what God actually is or what supreme force and power is. Regardless if they define that society or civilization as having a religion or not, you can see what their perspective is in terms of how they define what supreme force and power is. Their perspective of the creator and their perspective of creation. When we look at societies who've been here for thousands of years, what that indicates to us is they figure some things out. They've come to some conclusions that have some sustainability, especially if they're able to maintain their environment by not polluting the air, not polluting the water, not polluting the soil, and they've been able to maintain a level of harmony amongst their citizenry. It's important that we examine those kind of societies or civilizations because they give us a keen perspective of what God or what supreme force and power actually is. We are a microcosm within a macrocosm or within a universe. But that universe is also within us. So that macrocosm is also within the microcosm. So there is a relationship between the mental reality and the physical reality. Physically, we are in this world. Mentally, this world is also within us. Our 17th degree in our 1 to 40s asked the question, what is the meaning of civilization? And the answer says, one having knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement, and is not a savage in the pursuit of happiness. When you look at all of those qualities or characteristics, all of those qualities or characteristics represent lived experience. And in order to have lived experience, you have to be in this world. But the way in which you process those lived experiences in this world is mental. Meaning, one having knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, culture, and refinement is not just simply how we live and how we treat one another and how we relate to our natural environment, but it's also how we process how we treat one another, how we process how we live in this natural environment, and how we treat the life forms that are a part of our world. So there is a very important relationship, not only in a never ending inner journey of exploration of who we are and our relationship to supreme force and power, but also never ending outer journey in understanding our relationship to the natural environment and who we are to our fellow human family members and who we are to our environment. Every day we see on social media and on the news people who claim to have this grasp of what supreme force and power is, or a relationship with the creator, or even defining themselves as a creator, but there is a disconnect with their relationship to creation. You see these same people who say that, who litter in their environment, who don't look out for their neighbors in their own community, who invest in foods that once you discard it, it is not something that can be composted to actually turn into soil to enrich their environment. People who invest in companies that are deliberately polluting the water, deliberately polluting the air, deliberately polluting the soil, but yet they claim to have a relationship with supreme force and power or the creator. There is an important balance that we have to strike in terms of our inner journey of discovering who we are, but also our outer journey in discovering who we are in relationship to our environment. We are caretakers of this planet. And that is an important role in terms of our discovery of knowledge and knowing what God or supreme force and power actually is. So I will, this was inspiring, it was empowering, it was educational, gave those of you some insight into how I'm dealing with today's mathematics. And then also to encourage you to connect with nature. You may have a body of water that is in your municipality that can give you a sense of that connectedness to nature. You may have a forest that you can go hiking in. Do something in order to make sure that you are connected to nature so you can hear the natural sounds that are oftentimes drowned out by the motorcycles and the cars and other unnatural sounds that we may find ourselves immersed in every day. And because of that, it deafens our ability to have sensory perception of our natural environment. And that is also key to us being connected, that sense of perception of what is actually not only going on around us, but what is going on within us. So I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen and go out and connect with nature. Peace.